it's such a privilege to have Zelda la Grange at our East Coast Radio Studios. Welcome to East Coast Radio.
Thank you.
Now, the interesting part is, how did you get the job? It was a very important question. How do you get it?
Yes, I think fate played a bit of a role there that day as well. I was at the presidency for an interview. Actually, I applied for a job in Jay Naidu's office. And whilst I was busy with the interview at the Union Buildings, the president's private secretary, who was Mary Mkladana at that stage, she came in and she said, I need a typist and I need her right now. And I was sitting there and they said, would you be interested? And I said, of course, as long as it's in the Union Buildings, because I needed a job closer to my parents' home. And I was very attracted to sessional duty, 6 months Pretoria, 6 months Cape Town. So when they said, no, that's the same conditions, I said, well, I'm sold. I never anticipated, I had no ambition, never thought that I would become anything there, or that I would even meet Nelson Mandela.
Okay, now we're going to stay there for a little minute. Obviously, you are one of the busiest people in the world, not even South Africa. What did a day in the life of you consist of with Madiba? Give us a short summary.
Well, I would be in the office just after 6:30, because once he got to the office, I couldn't do any work.
So what time did he get in?
He got there at 8 o'clock.
Spot on every day.
Spot on, not a minute after 8, and then his appointments would start. So I was there early, and then I tried to do as much admin as possible and prepare for the day, and obviously made sure his office was ready, and then briefing documents for all the meetings. And once he arrived, I was just concerned with him all day until he went for lunch, and 12:30 was lunch, and then in the afternoon he would have more meetings at 2 o'clock, around 2, or he would take a rest, or when we would travel, he would go somewhere in the afternoon, and then there was a rest period, a definite rest period that was sacred. And then in the evening we attended events, and then you get home and you have to prepare for the next day. So it was just it consumes your entire life.
Okay, now the interesting part is your book, Good Morning, Mr. Mandela. Before we even talk about what can readers expect, why did you write that book?
Well, there's a few questions I had to answer. People asked me over the years, they asked me a lot of things, and especially last year after Madiba's passing, people asked me about, there was this whole thing of when he actually passed, and people speculated about that. I wanted to say what I knew in that regard, also where I was at the funeral, what happened during the funeral. But also the most important thing is I wanted to show people, explain to people, if I could change like I did over 19 years, it's in anyone's ability to change. So it's really a story of love and hope more than anything else, and the story of second chances.
Now, looking back at your years as Madiba's right-hand lady, is there anything you would change or do differently?
Not a thing really, Deon. I've learned from Madiba as well that the most useless of emotions in life is regret. So I have no regrets, let me say that. But I would have wanted a bit more maturity when I was younger, to be able to deal with criticism, I think, a lot better, because I had to withstand quite a bit of criticism from people from white people, black people, across the racial divide, politicians and so on, and I was very sensitive, and it affected me a great deal. So I wish I was a bit more mature.
In a summary, what would be your message to South Africa? Since you've had all this emotion of being with Madiba, seeing the change for 19 years in our country. I mean, you've seen our country change in 19 years.
Absolutely. You know, we've revered him, we loved him, we adored Madiba. Everyone wanted their photo taken with him. Everyone says he's the greatest person that ever walked the earth, and especially our country. But we've already forgotten what he's all about, which is respect. We can't even show each other respect anymore, and he hasn't been gone a year yet. So that's really my message to people. Go back to the values and the morals of Nelson Mandela, and if you really revered him that much, start changing yourself, start thinking about your behavior, because the man was all about respect.
Wow, I see all his sentiments still live in you, which is such an awesome experience.